Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking he's nothing but a low-down, good-looking pig with no respect for women. But you're wrong. I love women. Once, I even loved too much. Oh, it started innocently enough. She'd lost her glasses. I found them. Here you go, little nearsighted mama. She smiled at me through those Coke bottle frames and said, "Jinkies." Oh, man, I'm in love. What followed was a whirlwind romance, full of laughs and adventure and badly disguised villains. She was always on the run, but I was right behind her. I was driven to madness. I had to make her mine. I took her to our favorite night spot, gazed into those wobbly eyes and said, "Velma, marry me, pretty mama." She looked back at me with that freckled face full of love, sighed, and said, "I'm sorry, Johnny, but my career comes first." It was then I felt my heart break like a fragile Scooby snack upon the jagged teeth of reality. And it's been broken ever since. Hey there, little mama. The seat taken?
This is the emergency podcast system. This is not a test. Movies are bombing all over the country. They are posing as movies you already know. They may already be in your theaters, your neighbor's home, or even your own. Do not panic. Specialists have been dispatched. They will help you identify these pretenders and defend you against this invasion of the remake. Please stand by for further instructions. Welcome to the Invasion of the Remake podcast. I am your host, Jason Bishop, and once again we are doing part 2 of the Calgary Expo 2025. In this episode, we're going to be hitting Artist Alley. We're going to be talking to a lot of up-and-comers about their books and how you can get a hold of them, and some really great talent here. We hope you really enjoy. This is something a little different than we've done in the past, so a bit of an experiment, but I think this is going to be well worth the listen and you're going to really enjoy yourselves. So let's hit Artist Alley. All right, we are here at Calgary Expo, and we always have to stop by Michael McAdams' booth of Two Gargoyles, or is it Two Gargs?
Well, Two Gargoyles Comics is our formal name. Two Gargs if you're nasty.
I'm nasty. I have always called it Two Gargs. Gargling on the comic books. That just went in a weird place. Edit that out. Maybe not. So, we always talk to you. We always talk about the new books and the new comics. So, what do you got at the show here in 2025? Because we haven't talked since 2023.
Oh, lordy. Well, debuting at this show, I have Spectre number 3, the third in the series of an LGBTQ teen superhero group. It's more of a slice of life coming out story than it is superheroes, but I can't get away from superheroes because I love them. So I just I use that to tell the story. Thunder number 4, four in a series, is new. When issue 5 is complete, I will be gathering them into a graphic novel with all 5 books in one. But number 5 has yet to come out, but it's almost there. I have a new book in the works called Coven Cove, which is about a village populated entirely by witches set in Prince Edward Island, because I'm leaning into the Canadian right now. I am really big on Canada. Elbows up.
Why? What's going on?
Well, you know, like we love Canada here.
That's right. Is there something else going on? I haven't heard.
No. I think the world is just ready for more Canada.
Yes.
I have the Magical Mr. Punch number 2, which is right over there. Number 3 is in the works right now, and I have Twilight Detective Agency number 3.
Fantastic. Now I do see a novel here as well.
Indeed, a novel. It's called Special Proper Magic. It's a young adult novel about 2 cousins, a boy and a girl. The boy can move things with his mind, and the girl can see and speak to ghosts. And together they solve the mystery of a missing boy.
I love that. And you got these little blind boxes, which I think are great, where you got pins in a little cereal box.
I do. Do you remember like the what do they call them? The variety pack of cereals, you know? And I have always loved those little boxes of cereal, so I decided to make my own. It's called Wheatie Wings because of the gargoyles on the front cover. And each box has stickers, candy, a button, and you have the chance to win an enamel pin valued at $10.
$10,000. Oh, $10. Tens of dollars.
Tens of dollars. Tens of Canadian dollars.
Yes.
Which, could really go up in the next while.
That's like sevens of U.S. money.
Soon to be 20.
Well, they're tanking their economy pretty hard, aren't they? So, the investment is in Wheatie Wings right now. Don't go for Bitcoin, go for Wheatie Wings.
That's right. And no tariffs on any of my products.
That is a bonus. Well, thanks for talking to us. Where can people find your comic books?
Well, you can find them at your local comic shop, Words and Pictures on Center Street here in Calgary. And they have a website at
WNP.ca.
That is great news. You can also get them digitally and soon in print from twogargs.com. That's TWOGARGS.com.
Fantastic. So go check them out, grab some comic books, and support Two Gargoyles, because you don't want to be nasty and call it Two Gargs.
Elbows up.
Elbows up.
Awesome.
All right, I am at Cam Hayden's table. Weird comics for weird people. What does that mean?
Well, I grew up reading Mad Magazine and things like that, Crazy and Cracked, and it seems like most people, they're not weird to me, but most people seem to be more into the superhero stuff. So I think when they see sort of a throwback comic to like 70s kind of underground stuff, it's probably weird to most of the people at these big expos. So that's probably where the weird definition comes from, because they're probably used to seeing Spider-Man knockoffs and things like that.
Yeah, well, I look at your banner alone gives me some R. Crumb vibes, so I totally get what you're saying about 70s books as somebody who reads all types of books. I am definitely one of the weird. So tell us about some of the books you've got here, like extra shitty stories.
Well, that's a follow-up to my shitty stories that came out a couple of years ago. It's sort of a bit of an eye-catcher for the table, so figured it needed a follow-up. So extra shitty stories. They're both sort of anthology stories or anthology books in the vein of like Weird Science or Tales from the Crypt or something like that.
Okay.
But definitely in that underground vibe. So it's sort of humor, horror kind of stuff, like your Fantagraphics kind of stuff.
I see another one, Coffin Knockers, that seems to have that EC vibe as well.
Yeah, so that one it was going to be an insert in another comic, because one of the strips that I do is called Roomies from the Tomb, and that's the characters on my banner, but I do a strip for Scary Monsters magazine.
Oh, okay.
And Roomies from the Tomb, there's two sort of former horror hosts that are washed up because obviously the horror comics went away after a certain point, so they're just roommates in a shitty apartment. And so I was going to collect those, and this book was going to be an insert in that, showing their final horror magazine that they were in. And then as I got closer to the show, I decided to make it into a full-size comic. So it's a standalone comic now, and it's basically their final horror comic that they were in before they get fired. At the end, a spoiler alert, at the end of the comic, the hosts get fired. You have to read the book to see why, but...
Well, that's probably what happened to Crypt Keeper. They're sitting on the dole line somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah, it ties into the whole Wortham thing. So it's kind of a deep cut for the old EC fans and things like that.
Right. Well, I see another one here, Oddballs of Country Music, and it's like a small kind of digest trade paperback.
Yes, originally those were two sets of trading cards that I made. I got a hold of a template to make like the box and the cards and all that, so I did two sets of cards, and kind of the general description of them is Grand Ole Opry meets Garbage Pail Kids.
Okay.
So it's sort of an alternate reality collection of country superstars from the 40s and 50s, except that they're all horrible. Just like it's one of the most messed up things that I've ever written, I think. So I sold out of the cards, and they were kind of a pain in the ass to get assembled and all that stuff. So instead, I compiled them into a book. So they're also a bit bigger, so they're easier to read because I kind of went a bit overboard on the text, because on the backside is the biography of each superstar. So now they're a bit bigger, they're easier to read.
Okay, the short novels.
Yeah, they don't get lost.
Okay, well that is
It's one of my favorite things I've ever done. It's,
really unique.
and again, they're all based on existing old hillbilly superstars. So people that are into that kind of music will kind of get the references.
Yeah.
Which a lot of those people were pretty crazy without any exaggeration, but I've taken that much farther than than what it was originally. So,
Well, as I take a little trek down the table here, and that might be me alluding to something here. ST M33, because copyrights are important. But this definitely looks like an homage to a popular sci-fi franchise.
yeah, some people have mentioned that. I guess there are some similarities there.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah. So basically, one of my friends that I do some writing with, Ted McCoy, one of his dreams is to write for Star Trek at some point. And in the meantime, we're doing this sort of Star Trek fan fiction thing, and it's a different crew in a different part of the galaxy. And we're just posting it on Instagram, and it's Star Trek M33 if you're looking for it on Instagram. Okay. And we've done 3 books so far. Once it's kind of run its course, because we'll post weekly batches of panels on Instagram. But then once the story is wrapped up, we're collecting them into these little pocketbooks. So we've got 3 of them so far. 4th one is about half done right now.
Okay.
It's for Star Trek fans. It's sort of an underground comics take on Star Trek. It's a little more horror leaning, I think, than sci-fi. So it exists in that universe, but it's a little more Lovecraftian. We showed them to Heather Antos, who's sort of the IDW editor for all the Star Wars stuff. She loves them. No phone calls or emails have come from anyone suggesting we should put a stop to it yet. So,
Well, I mean, that's the good thing about Paramount and CBS. They seem to be okay with the fanfic and fan films and that sort of thing.
yeah, they seem to have their hands full with other things too most times. So
Yeah, exactly.
we're pretty small potatoes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do see, like, the theme of horror seems to be running through Submit or Die, Keeping My Day Job, The Least I Could Do, but there's another one, The Set List, that doesn't seem to follow into that model.
Yes, that's an anthology from a cartoonist in Winnipeg, and he was he put out a call for anthology submissions sort of based on, centered around music. I can't remember if it was punk rock specifically or just music, but so there's 2 volumes. Me and my friend Aaron Navrati, who you may have encountered at some point, another great local cartoonist. We both wanted to submit something to it, but we decided to collaborate. So I wrote a script and Aaron illustrated it. And we're in the Set List Volume 2, which is the black and white collection, and then there's Volume 1, which is the color collection. So there's 2 books out there, and yeah, it's all just short music comics.
Okay. And it's something we don't see a lot of. I know there was Opus, the short-lived company, and they were either doing fantasy books based on famous painters, or they were doing musician books. And there seems to be like a market for the music stuff that's still relatively untapped. We're seeing more musicians getting into comics, I think, to make stories based on their own music.
Yeah, that's true. I've noticed noticed that a lot of I'm a musician myself. I play in bands, and I've noticed that a lot of cartoonists that I meet are also musicians. So there's definitely a lot of overlap there. You might notice too, if you see the two books side by side, they're sort of Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. But yeah, I find since I started doing comics, it's very similar to doing band stuff. It's still loading your gear in and setting everything up and doing the show and then packing up all your stuff. And
what's the name of your band?
The band that I currently play in is called Agriculture Club.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've met Rick Overwater down the aisle there, but he's also in the band.
Okay.
And we've reunited after about a 15-year hiatus.
Oh, look at that.
We used to like tour around Canada and stuff like that. And then I did a lot of years in a band called the Cripple Creek Fairies as well, kind of a garage rock band.
Okay.
So yeah, it's the only difference is we do this stuff during the day, whereas the band stuff was all at night. But,
Sure.
But it's still, something you do on top of your day job. And
Well, for the people who aren't here, where can they find your comics?
if you look me up online, I'm under Lance Goiter, LANCEGOITER. That'll lead you to me probably on Instagram, and then from there, I think I've got a link tree that'll take you to a place where you can order my books, or you can hit me up directly, or find me at a show.
What about the music?
Yeah, if you search, you'll find it.
Okay.
It's,
Are there like Apple Podcast or Apple Music or Spotify, that sort of thing?
yeah, some of it's on Spotify. I think all of it's on Bandcamp.
Okay, Bandcamp.
But a lot of it's on Spotify, which is usually easier for people to find, or that's kind of their go-to. So if you can get a sample of it on Spotify, and if you want more, then Bandcamp is the place you want to go or avoid, depending on what you think of it. So
Well, thanks for talking to us. I encourage people to buy his comics and his music.
yes.
That was Cam Hayden.
Thank you.
Well, I'm almost home free. I'm not sure what that means, but I am at a booth and talking to another artist, and wow, is there some impressive stuff here. Tell the people your name.
My name is Nikolai Villager. I go by Almost Home Free Art and Design, and I've been a professional comic artist for about 5 years now.
That's fantastic. Now, you were telling me you had a comic book of your own, so let's start there. Is that this here, Little Moons?
No, Little
No?
Moons was the comic that I contributed to.
Oh, okay.
That's actually The Genius of Jen Storm, and it's a fantastic book about an indigenous family that loses a member and the aftermath and the struggle that they have to go through. It's a great commentary on indigenous women going missing, and kind of does a deep look into that, and it's a really, really fantastic read. But I contributed the lettering to it. That's why it's on the table today. Yeah.
Oh yeah, beautiful pages from that in here as well. You've also told me you've worked professionally for Skybound and a few other publishers. What have you worked on?
Well, right now my big thing is I'm working on Mariabe, Keeper of Time, with Alex Segura. Used to be co-director of Archie Comics. He's a fantastic writer in his own right. Has done stuff for Star Wars, Marvel, DC, all the big guys.
And he was like the showrunner for that Archie show, wasn't he?
He's been involved in so many different things, I honestly can't even keep tabs on it. But we have a great working relationship, and so this is something that we're developing right now for King Features Syndicate. So all the comics that you kind of grew up reading, the Flash Gordons and Blondie, Phantom, all of that is attributed to King Syndicate. And so we now are working on this comic with them, and you can read it online at Comics Kingdom.
Okay, will this be available in print at some point?
Yeah, we're working on developing it in print. Right now we've pretty much amassed enough for one book, and the strip's gone through a lot of format changes, so we'll have to figure out exactly how that look will be fully realized.
Right.
But we are excited to bring that out to the world. There's nothing concrete right now in terms of like production schedule, things along those lines, but we're slowly working towards that end goal.
So you watch the social media for announcements and that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, I gotta say, this page blows me away. It's kind of this classic style, a little bit of like Darwin Cook influence in some of the art I'm seeing, but I see you adapt your style to whatever you're working on, which is wonderful. And it's like a wonderful coloring style here too.
Absolutely. I mean, Darwin is an incredible artist and someone who I definitely look up to. I'm really partial to a lot of the old masters. One of my favorite artists is Alex Toth, and I try to echo him. I guess you could say I'm a student of his craft.
Yeah.
But every artist is different, and they bring their own essence to what they're trying to do, and that's what I'm trying to do with Almost Home Free.
Right. What were you doing for Skybound, essentially?
I had actually produced a Transformers cover for them. Okay. Unfortunately, it didn't actually make it to the run, but it was for #1. And, but that's the reality of being a comic artist sometimes. I mean, I still got the gig, I still got paid, that's all well and fine. Sometimes you do want to see it in print, but they had a limited run, so...
Well, maybe at some point we'll see it realized on another issue.
That's the thing, is that they always save those for different variants and kind of different cohesive storylines that they want to kind of intertwine in, so maybe they'll find my cover suiting for that.
Well, actually, I see your art style, and it looks like I don't see Transformers so much as another book that they do called Void Rivals, and I think your style would complement that book really well.
Well, thank you for saying.
Yeah. Where can people see your artwork online?
If they just type in Almost Home Free into Google, they can find me on all the socials. I'm not so active on Twitter or X anymore, but I'm more on Blue Sky and Instagram and Facebook and things along those lines. They can find my work.
That's the place to be. A lot of artists and writers have gone there. So.
Yeah, it's a
friendlier place.
The name's aptly fitting, I would say. Yeah. But I try and share as much as I can, and I'm always developing new projects. One of my newest projects I hope to be unveiling within the next couple months is a personal comic of mine that I'll most likely be launching on kind of all online social media, mainly Reddit as a platform too, just because there's a large readership there, and then can kind of see the demo grow and see if people jive with it. And
that's all you're going to give me right now, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I plan to have some stuff ready to unveil, but just time got away from me. But I do have some stuff cooking, absolutely.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing it, because this is a talent I didn't know about, and I'm already a big fan seeing it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello, this is Trish Coughlin, your Cub reporter from Invasion of the Remake, and I'm here with Scott B. Henderson, and I'm looking at this table. It's absolutely amazing. There's so much good stuff here. Have you been having a good con so far?
Yeah, it's been really good. I haven't been here since 2019, but no, so far it's been going very, very well. I will probably faint from exhaustion by the end of today because it's so busy. Yesterday was pretty busy. Today's supposed to be even more so, which is a good thing, just exhausting.
Exactly. Well, you've got a lot of merch here, but I wanted to note one thing. It was D-Man.
Yes.
You have a thing of D-Man here, which just popped right out at me, and you have done some work on him.
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about D-Man, but I did a short story in the 2023 issue of Marvel Voices Pride, where it featured D-Man, and he was sort of this mentor to these 4 new transgender superheroes, and then all of a sudden Spider-Man comes crashing through the window with the Sinister Syndicate following close behind. It was written by Grace Freud and inked by Lee Townsend. So that was my first introduction to D-Man, but they said, oh yeah, he's this cute little ginger bear. I'm like going, I am all there for that.
I think we're all in for that. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm looking at this Come Hither look on this one, and it's just freaking amazing. Oh, that's
I started shipping Snap Wexley and the Rancor Keeper from the Star Wars movies there. So
you know what?
Little bears.
They did. Well, there's notes of it in the movie.
Yeah.
You have to see that.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of other stuff here. I'm going to go left to right. We've got the Reckoner here. You can tell us more about that.
Reckoner is an graphic novel that is about indigenous superheroes. Cole got experimented on in his youth, and so he's come back to Winnipeg with his girlfriend to confront the evil labs that did the experiments on him. They kidnap people, do a whole lot of things. They turn people into monsters instead of trying to put a stop to all that. But he's dealing with anxiety and PTSD, so that's kind of getting in the way. Reckoner Rises was written by David A. Robertson, who I've worked on for like a dozen books or so right now. It's probably my favorite. No shade meant for any of the other books. I love everything I work on, but it's fun to work on superheroes again, sort of thing.
That's excellent. You did mention Winnipeg. That's where you're in from.
Yep, I'm from Winnipeg, and the Reckoner takes place in Winnipeg for the most part. There's also their fictitious reserve that they sometimes go to or whatnot there. But yeah, that one takes place in Winnipeg.
And I'm looking here, and this one really jumps out at me. A Girl Called Echo.
Girl Called Echo is, I think, has been a very successful, very popular series. It is about the Métis, written by Katerina Vermette, and colors by Donovan Yashik. And each of the 4 books tells a different part of the Métis history. So starting with the Pemmican Wars, and then touching on Louis Riel Foundation in Manitoba, the Northwest Resistance, and then finally the Road Allowance era, where basically they didn't have homes, and that sort of thing. The main character, Echo, she sort of slips through time and visits past relatives to learn about the history, sort of thing. So it's a little bit of a modern story, her reconciliation with her own identity and with her family, things like that, but then also the Métis history.
Yeah, a modern story where history is very important and can't be forgotten by anybody. Yeah. It's a wonderful thing. And while we've been standing here, 2 people picked up Dire Beasts, which looks amazing.
Dire Beasts, not through High Water Press, unlike the other books there, but it was it came out last fall, and it is an anthology of 14 different artists who wrote their own stories, did the lettering for their own stories and that. The theme is there had to be a monster or beast or some sort of creature, not necessarily good or bad, but there had to be a monster in it. All the artists are people that frequent the Comic-Con, so the fun thing about it is that you pick up the book and then you go around the show to see if you can find how many other artists you can find in it. We all do little sketches in the books for them, sort of thing. So lots of variety, lots of different art styles, different feelings for it. Some are a little bit more creepy, some are a little bit more fun. I, once again, have the most detailed artwork, I think, in all of them.
Yes, of course. That's the whole thing. And that sounds like a lovely scavenger hunt, which does bring me over to Gothic Tales of Haunted Love, which I have questions about. Tell me about that one.
That one was from a few years ago. So I worked again with David A. Robertson. So, like its title suggests, it's Gothic Tales. So it's like those old, almost horror romance novels, but sort of retelling, maybe getting away from some of the sometimes problematic issues with it. Some of them do have some queer elements to some of the stories, things like that. The story that I did with David was about, once again, an indigenous woman, Cree woman, who gets killed in a buffalo stampede, I believe. But then she's brought back from the dead, but her husband doesn't want her because she's all scarred and is a corpse, basically, coming back. So that was a really fun story. There was also a sequel to it where it's Gothic Tales of Haunted Future, so it's more sci-fi. I didn't do anything for those ones, but that one, they were both published and distributed by Renegade Arts Entertainment, who is also here at Comic-Con.
Excellent.
Fan Expo, I mean.
Yes, yeah, Comic Expo, Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo. Yes. That's what they've told us. And I have another question here. Spirit of Denende.
Yes, so Spirit of Denenda, I think.
Denenda?
I could be wrong about mispronouncing it. The spirit of Denida is sort of like Star Wars. They're all Star Wars, but then there's Empire Strikes Back and that sort of thing. So the first one is Blanket of Butterflies. This is written by Richard Van Camp from Fort Smith and resides in Edmonton, Alberta. And he is also here today.
Ooh.
So it is about a Japanese man who used to be part of the Yakuza. He comes to a little museum up in Fort Smith, the Northwest Territories, to reclaim his family's samurai armor. Why is there samurai armor in the Northwest Territories? We don't know. But that's partially true because the museum in Fort Smith used to have, I don't know if they still do, but they used to have samurai armor, like the greaves and the breastplate, I believe, sort of thing. They didn't know where it came from. I think they did finally figure it out, sort of thing. But so Richard created sort of story about it. So he's come to reclaim the armor, but one missing piece, a sword, was taken by a not very nice man of the community. So he's got to go confront them. It was, again, I think, Richard, this was the first story that I worked on that wasn't David Robertson. So very different writing styles, both great storytellers, but just different. So I had to, it was a lot more up to me to figure out the layouts and things like that. Whereas David writes stories that they're like a movie script. He says, this is the scene, opening scene, wide angle, tighter panel, that sort of thing. Which I also really like, and he and I think alike, so there's really there's
a shorthand.
David and nowadays, after working on so many books, David and I he sort of scales back what he writes and he leaves it up to me because we do just think alike, and it's not an issue. So this Blanket of Butterflies, this came out in 2016, 15, and it was an Eisner Award nominee. And then its sequel is As I Fold You in Petals. So it takes place in Fort Smith as well. Some of the same characters that are actually in a lot of Van Camp's novels and comics and things like that as well.
So there's a Van Campiverse.
Yes, there is. That's why it's the Spirit of Denida series, that sort of thing. And there might possibly be another one coming out, but through Renegade Arts in the future, trying to sort that out.
That sounds exceptional. And there was something you were mentioning before as well. I think it was Last Breeds. It hasn't come out yet?
Yes, Last Breeds is getting that much closer to coming to the public. It is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi graphic novel written by Jonathan Ball and GMB Kamichuk, with lettering by Lyndon Rechenka and colors by Zach Schuster. All of them are here somewhere at the show and contributing to that Dire Beast book. So it's a post-apocalyptic world where humanity's meddlings with genetics have finally come around to bite them, and more than bite them. And so main character Bale goes on this caravan with apparently one of the last other humans that are genetically pure, that didn't go through genetic modifications and purifications that corrupted them, sort of thing, along with a caravan of various predator animals, tigers and bears and cheetahs and all sorts of other animals like that, traveling across North America to try to find a cure for it so humanity doesn't die out from its own mistakes.
Our hubris, as it were.
Yes. So yeah, that should be coming out soon.
Excellent. And I'm also drawn to this top shelf here. You've got Between the Pipes and Surviving the City.
Yes. So Between the Pipes and Surviving the City, a lot of the books on the top here I didn't necessarily do. I just like to have them for variety. Between the Pipes, again, High Water Press, which is a lot of the books here. I believe it's the first of their books that is an LGBTQ two-spirit in particular, focused sort of story about a youth plays hockey but is trying to come to grips with his own queerness and two-spirit nature and that sort of thing. So that's great.
And that's I always love that. That's wonderful because I think with comics and stuff you have. Do you feel you have the latitude to explore these much more easily in this print media form? Or do you think you can represent it?
I think we can definitely represent it. I think one of the greatest things I think about graphic novels is that they're very accessible. If you Highwater Press, their focus is schools and education, so these go out to schools, to universities. I've already heard it like 24 times today that they are a teacher or they're a student or that they saw it in the library. And so, like, reading through a several hundred-page textbook with lots of text is very difficult, especially if there's any reading difficulties or obstacles. So, graphic novel, you can get a lot of the story just by looking at the pictures, and so I think that is that's the greatest strength. It started with 7 generations, and since then they've had dozens upon dozens of books come out, and other publishers can do it as well now because everybody's recognizing it as really good stories, but also being able to talk about things that aren't necessarily being talked about.
Like, I mean, we have superheroes.
People that don't necessarily get to have a voice, but also easy for the readers to absorb the story, or even start absorbing the story and then be able to move on from there to read more complicated stories or textbooks or other books and that sort of thing. Like a stepping stone.
Yeah, a stepping stone, kind of capturing the essence of things, so you can kind of, it's a good starting point to be like, this is where we begin.
Yes.
The education. The final thing I want to ask you about is this place.
Yes.
Tell me about that one, because they say now a CBC podcast.
Yes. Next to Echo, it's probably the other, I think, one of the most popular and successful books through Highwater Press. So it's this place, 150 years retold. So it's a retelling of Canada's history, but through Indigenous perspective. So there's 10 different authors and assortment of illustrators doing it. I did 2 of the stories. One of them was with Katarina Vermetigain, which was from A Girl Called Echo, and she's telling the story of Annie Bannatyne, a Métis businesswoman in the mid-1800s. And she doesn't take guff from nobody, no man, nobody. Real tough as nails Métis woman. And then the other one was Richard Van Camp again, from Blanket of Butterflies, and his story was about a pipeline that was going to go through the Northwest Territories, but it was challenged or blocked or what. Lots of other stories about CFS, the Oka crisis, the potluck bans in BC, Wendigo story, one about Indigenous World War I soldier.
Yes.
And then the last one takes place in the future, in a decolonized future, but they travel back in time to roughly a little bit more modern times to explore some of the modern events sort of things. So all the stories are by Inuit, Métis, or Indigenous author. The artists, like myself, are not necessarily always Indigenous sort of thing, but we give our tools and skill sets to help tell the stories to get people's attention.
Oh, exactly. I mean, there's so much with, Canada's history, so shaped by Indigenous peoples that it's like you talk about the one Métis woman, it's like, I think I have a new hero.
Yep.
I just need to find her.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about everything here. I'm like going, honestly, looking at all your stuff, I have a new hero. Again, Dunphy.
Yes.
I love me a ginger bear.
Yes, I really do too.
It's they're hairy in a way that's just, it's delicious.
Yep.
But thank you so much for talking to me. But this has been absolutely wonderful. And we're going to put up all your info, but where can people find you?
You can find me through, I guess, Instagram. Scott Henderson Art, I believe, is what it is there. Possibly Scott B. Henderson Art. I change it up between different platforms. So, and then I also have a WordPress site, which is scotthendersonart.wordpress.com.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you again.
No problems. Thank you.
Zoltar the Gypsy at your service. Today is your lucky day, my friend, for I have a fortune especially for you. Listen closely. Sometimes you can tell a wise person not only by what he says, but also by what he doesn't say. Remember, it is much better to say little than to say too much and regret it later. Give Zoltar your treasure. I have much wisdom to share with you.
All right, we are at Roberto Duke of Rad Pencils, and a local creator here in Calgary. And oh my God, he's got a lot of stuff here, and we've never really got a chance to talk about Septembrio, so let's start there.
All right, so Septembrio is my comic book series that I have with Michael Hill. He's my co-writer. It's about a struggling musician who questions everything about his life, but a freak accident turns him towards the world of the supernatural. So if you're a big fan of like X-Files, Stranger Things, UFOs, the metaphysical existence, like this is where you should be going at. It has a lot of spooky stories, and actually it's a lot of the stories are based off of Michael's experiences in and around town, and then and even like his one album, because he is also a musician, is almost like the soundtrack to the whole series. So a lot of the music is based on the book is a lot based on the music, so it's a very symbiotic multimedia kind of thing that's going on. It sounds like really douchey that I'm saying, oh yeah, multimedia and all these buzzwords, but no, it's a book from passion. It's a book of fun, and we just wanted to make a comic book that we hadn't seen in a while. We haven't seen before.
Yeah, now there is music for this. Where do people find the Septembrio band stuff?
So you can go hop on like Spotify, you can go on his Bandcamp of Septembrio, you can find all of his music there. I think you even just hit him up on Instagram at Septembrio. You can find all of his music and find wherever you can then stream all of his stuff. And the same thing with me, you can find me at Rad Pencils on Instagram. Radpencils.com has all my links to my shops and all my other artwork and all that other stuff.
Great. Now I see you do lots of commissions and pretty much will do all sorts of stuff. But what are your favorite things to work on?
Oh man, as ridiculous as it sounds, like yeah, I want ridiculous stuff. Like if people were coming to me like, oh, can you draw like Bart Simpson as Ghost Riders? Like, yo, let's go. Like I'd be down. Like I almost tell people like I don't want to draw Harley Quinn or Deadpool anymore because there was a good 5 years like that's all I drew for a while, and that just got really annoying. The more obscure and the more different it is, I'm down.
So it just sounds like as an artist you'd like to be challenged.
Oh, big time. Oh yeah, like the commission this is a podcast, so you guys can't see this, but like it's a black cover, and all I had was just like a yellow pen and a marker and a pencil ground just to kind of show some form. So yeah, doing something different like this, I'm down.
I've gotten lots of commissions over the years, and a lot of artists hate those colored covers, especially the black ones, and that just shows like you using the space to work for your advantage of a Batman being lit on this black cover using a non-traditional medium as well. And that's something I actually see. You'd like to do mixed medium. You've got pencils and inks, but you've also got some watercolors going on here too.
Oh yeah, totally. Like I mean, I get bored really easily, so like I can draw the photorealistic characters, and then I would like, if I feel into it, I was like, oh, I want to draw Rick and Morty, or I want to draw The Simpsons, and then it's like, okay, I want to draw something really, really realistic. Like, so I'll have something like with the Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein, like with just ink wash and gouache, all different kind of mediums, and then if I feel like it, I'll just do some stickers on digital on my iPad and just go. It's just whatever I feel like at that time.
Nice. I actually see some of your artwork on some shirts and stuff too. They're really cool. Where can I get those? How do they?
So right now, yeah, at radpencils.com, it has my website that also attaches to my shop that you can get them on POD. They are all based in the States, so I'm trying to get them switched over to fully Canadian POD stores so that it ships easily enough within the country, because again, elbows up, everybody.
It's been a theme this weekend so far, so elbows up, absolutely. Thanks for talking to us.
No worries, man.
And we look forward to seeing more comic books and artwork from you.
Thank you.
Hello, Hello, this is Trish Coughlin, Cub reporter for Invasion of the Remake, here with Zach Schuster, where we stopped by here because he's one of the many people who is part of the Dire Beasts collection, but there's also some wonderful stuff to hear. How's your con been so far?
It's been great. Always good to see all my friends and sell some comics. We spend all year making them, so it's nice to move into con season and sell them too.
Excellent. But before we talked here, we were discussing Hero Man, which I was flipping through. Looks hilarious, but there's also another story about that one.
Yeah, my writer Lyndon Radchenka from Winnipeg there, he wrote it, I drew it, and we were invited to France as delegates of Canada for Angoulême, a very big festival there, and it was a very good time.
Whereabouts is that?
It is south of Paris. It's a smaller town, but the festival is like one of the bigger ones in the world, and so it takes over the full town. And it's like their Calgary Stampede. It's like the whole city becomes this comic festival, and there's 100,000 people reading and buying comics, and it's very cool.
That sounds amazing. That's something we should probably get doing there. But we also noticed here you have another one here, Thrud. Tell us about that one.
Sure, that was my first book, and it's post-Ragnarok Norse mythology short stories, kind of all ages, just accessible, fun little stories I made up about a mute heroine and her chatty sidekick going on adventures.
Yeah, and you were saying like you did a whole bunch of the small stories so you could get out the whole book.
Yeah. And yeah, so that was the first one. And then as I developed that world through these short stories, I decided I wanted to tell a bigger, longer story, and I've just finished drawing a whole big sequel, 140 pages, but that's not out just yet.
Not out just yet. You also worked with another person that we interviewed here, Scott B. Henderson, on Last Breeds, and you were doing what on that one?
Just the colors on that one, but I went pretty crazy with it, so it's going to be a fun book to look at.
Yeah, because it's a post-apocalyptic world of genetically modified things. Like, how did you find that inspiration?
I thought it was very cool to work on someone else's art for a change, because I'm used to coloring mine, but he had some very cool designs and stuff that I got to go crazy with.
Excellent, excellent. And you also have a few zines here, which, I grew up in the time of zines as a youngster, and it's great to see them come back. And is that your plan when you come out, you just want to get a few ideas out there?
Yeah, I think they're just a nice, accessible way to get your short stuff out, and it's a great way for new creators to start. That's how I started, that's how a lot of people started, but if you want to just fill a table with a couple zines, you can do that a lot easier than printing full books. I built up to full books, but something about zines is still kind of fun, and I think it's a good energy it brings.
Excellent, excellent. Is there anything else coming up that you want to plug?
I've got my next board game coming out soon too, called Heap and Hydra. We'll have a Kickstarter this August. If you follow www.wizbiz.games, we'll have some details there.
That sounds amazing. So it's another game you said you've done.
Yeah, so my first game is here, Wizlords in Space, Cosmic Cartastrophe. My friend and I made a game we wanted to play, and we're really proud of it. And so we're starting to move into comics and games.
Who doesn't like a game? And if you have somebody who's a comic book artist doing a game, you can only have something amazing here. That's awesome. So where can people find you?
I'm online at zmschuster.com and then wizbiz.games.
Excellent. That's so wonderful. Thank you for talking to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks.
All right, back here on Saturday of Calgary Expo, and we're talking to Michael Schwartz, writer of the comic Armored, and a few other things you may have heard of, but let's talk about Armored first. Give everybody the lowdown.
Okay, so Armored is about a boy who finds a haunted medieval suit of armor, and the ghost haunting this armor has to train him how to use it because it's got these magical powers, and there's a bit of a mystery involved as to why he has the armor.
Okay.
It's a 5-issue miniseries, so the first 5 issues are out now. We're doing a second miniseries right now that we're working on. Issue 6 is in the can. We're on to 7 right now.
There's some great cover artists working on here too. I see Jay Lee, David Mack, some Becky Cloonan, who's insanely talented. Zuo, like incredible murders row of artists working on these books. And it sounds like it's kind of all ages friendly as well.
Yeah, it is. It is somewhat all ages friendly. It's a bit dark. Like I do warn, I get parents coming up to me at cons because I've written some kids movies and they want to get issue 1 for their kids, and I do warn them that you might see a little bit of blood, but it isn't too graphic that a kid couldn't read it. I always say like if 8 and up, but I have a lot of adult fans too because it does have a bit of that 80s nostalgia feel to it. That was accidental. It's just because I grew up in the 80s it has that feel, I think. I've heard people saying it feels like Goonies or Monster Squad in a way.
Oh,
little
so
Harry
that's-
Potter in there. So yeah.
Oh, that actually sounds very marketable as a film. But you actually mentioned you've already worked on some films. I see you've done No Malone, which is available on Netflix, you said?
Yes, it's a Netflix movie. It came out in 2018, actually. Very popular movie. I think millions and millions of kids around the world have seen this movie. Based on the conventions I've done, I'd say 9 out of 10 kids have seen it.
See, that's great. See, we're actually talking movies on this episode, this particular one. We finally got there. But the nerd in me and the guy who always wants to know about how the sauce is made, and specifically marketing something like this to Netflix. How do you was it pitched to Netflix and they financed this, or did they buy it after the fact?
So they bought it after the fact, but made it a Netflix original. So it was made in Montreal, so it's all Canadian made, and the director is Toronto-based. I'm the writer. I'm Toronto-based, but the producers are based in LA. So it is a bit of an indie movie.
Yeah.
And then they bought it after it had done an incredibly successful run overseas in theaters. So I met someone yesterday at the con who was from Peru and said, I watched this movie like 10 times in Peru. And I was like, what? And it was very successful overseas, and then Netflix scooped it up. Yeah.
Okay. So did it get any kind of North American theatrical, or did it go straight to Netflix?
No, it went straight to, it was a Netflix original. It was before they started making their own animated movies.
Yeah.
So it was one of the first animated movies of Netflix's, yeah.
Okay.
It's an interesting time back then, you know?
I'm kind of interested in how the pay model works for Netflix.
I don't know. I don't see any money, you know?
I made it. I never get paid anymore.
Yeah, I think that's the big complaint with Netflix, but you know, at least people are seeing it. That's what makes me happy, is the amount of kids that enjoy it. Yeah. And parents. The amount of parents that say they don't hate it. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Now, I can tell you're a comic book fan because you got like a mock-up of a Wizard half book. Wizard doesn't exist anymore. It was one of the magazines that promoted comic books, did articles and that sort of thing. And the guys that know that, especially that were big collectors in the 90s. So I very much appreciate that because I am that guy.
Do you want me to tell you about it?
Yes, absolutely.
So I do a podcast called Wizards, the Podcast Guide to Comics. So the podcast was started by a guy named Adam Pope, and we go issue by issue of the Wizard magazines from issue 1 up, where we re-examine that time period that Wizard was writing about in comics. And so when I joined the podcast, my comic was doing pretty well. I think we were on issue 3 in stores, and they were like, can we do a half issue? The other guys that do the podcast, I was like, I could ask Clover Press, who published my book, and Clover was like, go for it. You guys want to kickstart it, whatever, do it. So we did this half issue, so it has a brand new armored story, 10-page armored story, and then on the back, it's like a fake Wizard magazine.
I love that.
So there's an article about half issues in it. We talked to Garib Shamus, who used to run Wizard magazine. We do a visual guide to half issues, and then we do some classic Wizard content, like Last Ghost Standing instead of Last Man Standing.
Right.
We do. We had letter fan art came in. We do a fake armored contest. We brought back one of the artists from Wizard magazine. And we did casting call for armored. Yeah.
The only thing I see missing is the how to draw segment. By Bart Sears.
Bart Sears. You know, Adam, who's the other co-host on the podcast, he's like, damn it, I really wish we did a variant cover with Bart Sears. And the funniest thing is, one of the stretch goals on Kickstarter was adding a certificate of authenticity. The COAs that used to come with the half issues.
Yeah, I got plenty of those in my collection myself. Now, there's one more movie I want to talk about. I see Zombie Town with Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase here. This is another one you wrote?
Yeah, so I wrote this with the director of the movie. So Peter Lepeniotis directed No Home Alone. He also directed Zombie Town. This is one we shot in Sudbury, Ontario.
Okay.
So it's a very Canadian movie, indie movie, but based on an R.L. Stine book called Zombie Town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where I recognize the name from.
Yeah.
It wasn't clicking. Saturday morning, energy drink not kicking in.
It's only half done.
It's only half shot. All right. Well, I appreciate you talking to us. Tell people more about the podcast and where to find your books.
Yeah, you can find the podcast on Spotify or find us on Instagram at Wizards Comics, and then you can find me at Mike Schwartz Writes on Instagram or the Mike Schwartz on Twitter. And you can. I have another comic coming out later this year, so yeah.
Can you tell anything about it, or is it just?
It's another ghost story, but it's a bit different. I can tell you, Tula Lotte does the cover art for it. And the artist, the interior artist is Gaia Cardinali. She's an Italian artist.
Okay.
And I co-write it with my wife, actually, and it's about a woman who dies in the 60s, and she waits around for her husband to finally pass away. She dies of a horrible accident. But then when he dies, he doesn't get buried next to her. Some strange woman does. So she finds a human to dig up her bones and take her to where her husband is. Yeah.
Oh,
It's I call it Frighteners meets Harold and Maude.
Yeah.
And it's called Till Death. It's called Till Death. Yeah.
All right, everybody watch for Till Death. Is that going to be coming out through Clover Press again? Or
it will be a Clover Press book. I think it's going to be an OGN this time.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll be watching out for that as well. Thanks for chatting with us on Invasion of the Remake, and maybe we'll do a crossover with your podcast one of these days.
That would be amazing.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
I'm at the Infinite Studio booth, and I'm here with
Stephen Call.
And oh my God, you have a lot of stuff here. I don't even know where to start, but you do. You just showed me a book called The Laundrymen. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so The Laundrymen is a book about two monster hunters who solve supernatural crimes out of their laundromat. It's illustrated by me, Stephen Call, and written by my partner, Lyndon Rachenka. He also lettered it and did the graphic design. It is a little bit like X-Files meets Ghostbusters, so black suits, big black car, cigarettes, and monsters.
Ah, all right. I like that. You have a whole bunch of Hero Man here, and I've seen that at a couple of booths now.
Yeah, so Hero Man is a book published by At Bay Press. It's written by Lyndon, who wrote Laundrymen, and illustrated by Zach Schuster. Goes by Z.M. Schuster. He's at the show floor as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It is a superhero satire, so it's about a superhero who finds out one day that all of the crimes he's been fighting have been staged. And so that's just like the first 6 pages, and then from there, chaos ensues. It's an all-ages book. Anybody can read it, and there's just lots of jokes you pick up as you grow with the book. So.
Okay, I like that concept, and that would be very good for my young reader section in my shop. I see you've got issues for Laundrymen. So is this like a ongoing series when you can get them out kind of scenario?
Yeah, except when you can get them out is probably a key phrase. We all work full-time jobs as well. But Laundrymen, we're going for a Monster of the Week kind of thing. So each book is a case file. There's a beginning, middle, and end, and then there's little B threads that carry throughout the series. So Laundrymen that we just talked about is book 1. Then at the table and book 1 consists of chapters 1, 2, and 3. And then at the table today we've got chapter 4 in a single issue. We wanted to make sure we had some new Laundrymen at the show, and I'm not quite finished Laundrymen 2, but we have Laundrymen chapter 4, which is the first part of book 2 at the table today. So
okay. Yeah. I also see another book here, a couple of books here. Dead Work, When I Get Home, What Will Not Last. Let's start with Dead Work. What is that?
So we have several anthologies. We come from Winnipeg, which is kind of a hotbed of comic creators, but we make a lot of friends along the way, Calgary, Toronto, all that kind of thing. But what we like to do is take stories that we all think of and put them together in an anthology, and then we release them sometimes on Kickstarter. Actually, both Dire Beasts and Dead Work were Kickstarted. And then at shows where we sell them, we tell people who pick them up that if they take them around to all the other tables where all the creators are, we do a free sketch and a free signature in them. So it's like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
And actually, right now, Dire Beast is brand new at the Calgary show.
Okay.
And there's 11 of the 13 creators here. So people have been filling these books with sketches.
Yeah, sketches and signatures. Yeah, you got a nice big spread of stuff. Where can people find this, and how can they get their hands on these books if they're not at a show?
So all of our books, anything you're seeing at the table here, is available at infinitestudio.ca. We have a web store there. Also, that's where our social media can be had. And then we have a newsletter that if you sign up, you get a free comic. So we have this book here. It's called When I Get Home. It's a 20-page short comic that we made in 24 hours. It's about two guys marooned on a moon, and they have to deal with the horrors of what might happen if they don't get home, as well as the horrors that are on the moon that are going to prevent them from getting home.
Did you do this for the 24-hour challenge, like the Scott McCloud thing?
Yeah, it was kind of nuts. We locked ourselves in a bar for 24 hours. I was drawing right up until like the last 10 minutes, so I had like 10 minutes of like rest before my wife picked me up and drove me home. So.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine putting together a comic book in 24 hours, and that's a thing that's been going on for well over a decade now. Like, Scott McCloud is a mad genius.
He's a genius.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for talking to us, and go to infinitestudio.ca to pick up these books. All right, I am at the booth of Fabrice Sapolsky of Fair Square Graphics, and the FS, as you just informed me, is your name.
Yes.
There's something I didn't know as a retailer here in Calgary of Words and Pictures, but thanks for talking to us on Invasion of the Remake. Sure. You have got a lot of books here. We've carried some at Words and Pictures as well. I've always been impressed with the breadth of what you publish, and a lot of it coming from foreign creators.
Yes,
which
immigrants and minorities. That's the deal. That's the thing, because we're family immigrants and minorities ourselves. So we're publishing books of people that are like us and that are underrepresented. And I think the difference, and especially like coming and living in the United States, there's a lot of community-based comics and graphic novels that are published, and you have a lot of creators that are trying only to cater to one community. This is not our case. Like, it might be from underrepresented creators, immigrant creators, minority creators, but it's for everybody. We don't discriminate with the audience. We really want these messages, these comics and graphics novels to spread as widely as possible.
And I couldn't agree more. I have picked up some of the Korean, Asian kind of inspired creator ones, and I love how they kind of infuse their own culture into the stories, but still really appeal to what a lot of North Americans read, which can sometimes be an overabundance of superheroes. I read just about anything.
Yeah, and you know, one of the great examples that I like to take is we have this book called Beyondtopia Legends.
That's the one.
Which is a book by Indonesian creators. And the Indonesian creators, we published their books. They were rejected by every publisher in North America. And when they came to us, they were like, because I had a previous relationship with Brian Valenza, who is a Marvel colorist, but he's also like a wonderful creator. And everybody was like, oh, you're in that box, you're a color artist. So a color artist, we're not really interested in what you write. And I'm like, this is a good opportunity for me to precisely publish your stuff, because you've been rejected by everybody, so it's a good motivation to make it work. Unfortunately, when we released the book through our distributor, a lot of stores didn't really click. But it's still, to this day, one of the best-selling books at conventions with us, because when people see the quality of the book, when people see the richness of that universe, they immediately pick it up. And it's the same thing with every one of our books. And it's been a challenge for the past 6 years since the company was founded to have retailers on our side and to have retailers understand the quality of what we're offering and why we sell our book for a little more money, but that also means a little more in the pocket of the retailer. We have a lot of potential. We have books like A Boy Named Rose that has been nominated for an Eisner Award and a Harvey Award. We have Intertwined, which is, again, a book that has been largely overlooked by retailers, but it's still a super big seller for us. We're trying to get in all the possible directions that we can. We recently opened a manga section with Red Flower, which is the first African manga, or The Three Musketeers, the manga version, which is also very popular. So yeah, we're trying to expand, and now we're about to launch a new line of books that are going to be light novels.
Okay.
And we're starting with a book called Shakespeare's Vampires that we launched on Kickstarter first, but it's going to go to retail by the end of the year, which is Romeo and Juliet as vampires.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I've seen vaults jumping into that too. Like light novels have seemed to be really exploding. A lot of the manga publishers do a ton of light novels.
Yes. The difference I would say is that most of these manga publishers are using brands that are already known either as manga or as anime and turn them into light novels. What we're doing is that we're creating original material. I mean, the closest thing to an IP that we have, it's a book called The Big Lie, which stars the character of Tintin.
Oh, wonderful.
Which cannot be sold in Canada. It's only in the United States because the laws of copyrights are just different. But this is the closest thing to an IP book that we're doing in the light novel space.
Now, for North Americans who might not know what a light novel is per se, what would you equate it to? Something similar to a young reader novel?
A light novel is a hybrid book. It's, pardon the word, but it's the bastard child of graphic novels and prose. So you have about 60 to 70% prose and 30 to 40% illustrations and graphic novels and sequential art. But this mix that could be very awkward actually helps getting people who are allergic to graphic novels into the graphic novel space by giving them only a fraction of sequential art and getting them used to the language, to the narration, because you have the comfort of, oh, I'm reading a real book, but oh, wait, in the middle you have those pages that are sequential art pages. That's interesting. And then it helps. So I hope that retailers make a lot of space for this new category of books because it will help getting more people on board with the graphic novels.
Now, getting the stuff into comic book stores, but also bookstores, it sounds like you're shooting for that as well.
I mean, our priority has always been every channel. Like from day one, we were distributed in bookstores, in comic book stores, in libraries, at shows. We're doing about 30 conventions every year. As a matter of fact, this weekend I am in Calgary, but my wife is in Brooklyn for another show. So we're splitting to get as much coverage as we can, because when you're a small publisher, you don't have the marketing power of Disney, you don't have the marketing power of Warner Brothers, but that doesn't mean that you don't have something that people will like.
And it looks like you have a wide spread of what people might like. You've got noirs, The New Black, which looks like an anthology story of kind of classic crime noir.
That's the OG. That's the first book that we started the company with, and it's still to this day the best-selling graphic novel that we have. It's the third edition already. It grew from 12 stories from Black creators, noir stories from Black creators, to now 18 stories, and we're at the tail tail end of the third print run, so it's going to be reprinted soon because it keeps selling.
One Hit Wonder. That one looks more like a James Bond story based on
Absolutely not. It's a crime comedy book.
Okay.
It's the story of a child actor who grows up angry and becomes a hitman for the mob.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, like if you like Elmer Leonard, Quentin Tarantino, this is for you. This is the kind of like ridiculous action adventure, goofy humor that you would find in that kind of products.
Oh, and I see a name on there. I definitely recognize Ariel Olivetti is one of the wonderful Italian painters.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. I worked with Ariel on that book, absolutely.
Now, before we recorded, you were talking about distribution woes. One of the big things as of late is Diamond Comics.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And for the people at home who don't know, Diamond Comics is a big distributor for us retailers, as well as small publishers, and in some cases, the only home for them.
Yes.
So, what's kind of your solution right now while they're in Chapter 11?
I mean, now that they've been bought over, so they have a new owner, and I was talking to them last week actually about it, and they're kind of like, they're trying to keep us. I told them that due to the fact that they owe us a lot of money and they put us in a very delicate position by their lack of vision. Let's be clear. It's a lack of vision and a lack of solid management. And I told that to their face. So this is like public. I don't have any problem saying it to you. They kind of like have to work hard to gain our trust back. Right now, the jury's still out. We have other offers on the table at other distributors. We have not made a decision yet. We decided to freeze our releases when Diamond went into Chapter 11 in January to wait simply until we can get back on our feet, leak our wounds, and try to see which will be the best partner for us. So right now, it's still up in the air, but I hope that we can get to a solution by the end of next month, May, because clearly we have a stack of 12 titles that are waiting to be published, and we need to publish those titles.
Yeah. In the meantime, how can people support Fair Square and get their hands on these wonderful books?
Well, they can do multiple things. First, they can go to stores and ask the retailer to order our books from the distributor, which they can do, and because stores, it's not easy for a store. I mean, I'm not going to talk to you about that. I think you know pretty much what it is.
Can't carry everything.
Exactly. So it's really hard. You don't have your eyes on everything, and so if I call retailers and I say you need to carry my book, they will probably say, yeah, right. But if fans come to the retailer and say, like, I'd like to buy this book, they will buy it for you. They will carry it for you. So we need more people to go to the retailers and say, hey, I've seen this book. It looks interesting. Can you order me a copy? As a matter of fact, order two. Order one for the retailer to keep, and so that he can sell it to another person, another fan. The other thing that they can do is they can support us on Kickstarter, on our web store. We're doing a lot of Kickstarter. Kickstarter has become a huge partner for us. Due to the failing of Diamond, we had to take another route, and Kickstarter helped us keep the lights on, clearly. There's also a lot of shows that we're doing, so you can catch us. We're coming to Canada. I'm the proof that we're coming to Canada. We'll also be in Toronto this summer for Fan Expo Canada. But we're touring. We have 30 shows every year in the United States and Canada. And what else? The web store, our web store, fairsquaregraphics.com. And we sell everything and we ship everything everywhere.
So yeah, either get it directly from them, or you can go to shops like mine, Words and Pictures, or your local comic shop and order it up. The more you request a book, the more likely they're going to rack it as well. So the more interest people show in these books, the more likely a retailer is going to stock it regularly. So get out there, show support. Thanks for talking with us.
Thank you very much.
Zoltar. Zoltar is here to give you the wisdom of the ancients. Do with it what you will. Destiny is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. It is not a thing to be waited for. It is a thing to be achieved. Create your destiny wisely, my friend, and surrender a bit more wealth for more instruction from Zoltar.
All right, I am at Renegade Arts Entertainment booth, but it's more like Renegade Street over here.
We like to call it Renegade Row.
Renegade Row. And for everybody who's hearing this posh accent right now, he fakes it. He's like from Jersey.
What are you talking about, Jim? Does that sound convincing?
Totally. I was like, my God, you're from Jersey. So you're the publisher of Renegade Arts, and what's kind of your mission statement for Renegade?
Renegade is a company that champions mainly Western Canadian comic creators with a smattering of internationals who are just too charming to ignore. And I wanted to create a line of graphic novels that takes you from pre-reading, so you start with a book like Shea Prue's ABC Monstrosity, through to adulthood, through all the different genres and art styles and diverse voices that make up Western Canadian comic creation. So you can fall in love with our books before you can read and stay with us all the way through and not get bored.
Well, that is something else. get them when they're young, and they're buried with your books at the end.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. That might become our new mandate.
There we go.
Born with us, die with us.
Born with us, die with us. Renegade all the way.
Yeah. We've been 17 years now in Canada. We've published 64 graphic novels. 5 this year. Including the third book in the Pass Me By series, Lily, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Modern Asian Family, straight out of Busan, the debut book from Stefano Jun, who's now Calgary based, originally from Grand Prairie, which is a really charming and funny and cute look at what it's like to be a Korean kid growing up in Alberta.
Right.
Which is great, based on his very successful online webtoon Tapas and Instagram weekly cartoons. And then we have Blood and Fire, the third book in the multi-award-winning Mordecai Crow thriller trilogy from Bill Slavin, who's our token Ontario creator, but then Bill's won over 100 illustration awards. His children's books are legendary, but he's a big comic book geek at heart, and he's now in a position with his career where he can do the books he's always wanted to do. And it just so happens he's an incredibly gifted comic book storyteller.
Yeah, I've had a chance to look at those myself, and it's this kind of wonderful, accessible, all ages adventure book.
Right, yeah. And it won Best Mystery and Thriller Book at the Alberta Book Publishing Awards, beating out all the prose books, which is Go Comics, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's unheard of. Now, you've had this, you got Hell's Flaw here, I'm seeing, and that whole universe of stories has been slowly coming out because the beautiful illustrations of John Bolton take time.
Yeah.
And that kind of speaks to the quality of what Renegade actually puts out. Like, there's the books, you know, you're not Marvel, you're putting out books weekly or whatever. You have these carefully curated books from very special creators, and all of them are very, very special because they've been really worked with a passion that a lot of publishers don't seem to have.
Yeah, I think, well, we had a choice. We could either do publishing by the numbers, where you're trying to do lowest common denominator printing. You're working to a really tight deadline, so you're looking at getting quantities of titles out, a bit like, I'm trying to think of the name of the American publishing company that pump out 50 variants for each comic. I just can't think of the name. Anyway, those guys.
Marvel.
Yeah, like those kind of things. You can do that.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
I mean, and it works for them, but it doesn't work for us. So we go for quality and give the artists time to do their best work, and if that means they need an extra 6 months, then we'll let them have it. And then the book will be better for it, the story better for it, and they'll be healthier for it. And I think the reputation of our publishing company is better for that, like looking after your creators rather than destroying them with tight deadlines.
Well, it's the freedom to create as well. Like, there's so much editorially that a lot of these bigger publishers just have a stranglehold. Things got to be done in a certain way, but this is truly this collaboration of talents that seems to just be shepherded and by you to get the best product from them.
Well, thank you. I'm really lucky that so many fantastic storytellers want to work with us. It makes my job incredibly easy. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, and the thing about you guys, you don't know about Alex, like, we see each other quite a bit, but he's also a comic book creator himself. He's not just the publisher.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
So you can pimp your own stuff. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to be shy.
Yeah, I need to get back to doing more of the writing. I seem to be doing more of the editing and publishing. I've got more stories. There's more stories coming.
Okay.
We'll finish the Shades of Grey series. William's waiting for me to get the script over to him.
There was Department of Monsterology?
Yeah, it's one of the third book in that series where hopefully one day that'll get done. That's awesome.
I got customers are still waiting.
Yeah, people come up to me every show and say, when's book 3? I'm like, I'm working on it.
Well, those were coming out as standard issues, but would you maybe move that back to a graphic novel format, which is something you're more comfortable with?
The economics for a small press Canadian publisher really don't work for doing floppy monthly comics.
Right.
You have to sell so many, and the margin's so small, and it's really hard to do that outside of. I mean, I guess Todd McFarlane can do it, and like the big A-list Marvel and DC guys can do it, but for a lot of us, it's just you can't cover your costs. So doing a book which has a longer life. Your margins are better, your market's bigger. It makes a lot more sense for a small press publisher.
Now, I've talked to Fair Square about this, so it's a bit of a peek behind the curtain of publishers and the challenges they face in the Canadian market, but also distribution markets. The distribution model is changing rapidly.
Every day it feels
what have been the challenges of Diamond going Chapter 11, and what does the future of distribution hold for you guys?
Well, the challenge is massive because we don't know if Diamond are still going to be doing independent graphic novels in a few weeks. I mean, the latest news was that Alliance have pulled out. So then, does that mean Universal will come in, or are they just going to go under?
Well, that actually, I mean, from my standpoint as a retailer, I think that might be the better case because Alliance doesn't seem to be all that interested in working with small publishers. They seem to be bottom line company, bigger things that they distribute for bigger cuts. And that doesn't leave a lot for us retailers or small publishers.
It's probably a good thing if Universal...
Well, Universal already is a distributor.
Right.
And so it's something they're already familiar with, and I think they would not change the model so much and would be a lot more open to small publishers, especially Canadian publishers being a Canadian distributor as well.
Yeah, agreed. We have a deal agreed with Universal now, so we're just waiting for things to figure out their end, and we'll get the paperwork signed, and then we'll start working with them.
That's very good news. I've been kind of popping their name a few times because, I mean, they might not do it as good as Diamond was doing it, but we need more options out there for small publishers.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for talking to us. Before we go, there are a few things he's really still glazing over, because the beautiful book of We To Go War Roth, which is just book 1 of this incredible series. I encourage you to go to Renegade Arts and look at some of these books and how they really are quality. And for you hard rock fans, Gore. We got Gore.
And order them from your comic book store.
You can get all Renegade Arts stuff at Words and Pictures, and of course directly from them at Renegade Arts.
Thanks, Jay.
right, we're running down the aisle of Renegade Arts, and you guys like have half this whole
Renegade Street.
It is Renegade Street, and I kind of dig that. So I'm going to be talking here with Kat Simmers and Ryan Danny Owen about their series of books called Pass Me By. Let's just start with a brief breakdown on what this is all about.
Oh, sure. So our first book is called Pass Me By Gone Fishing, and it's about an old man named Ed dealing with early onset dementia, living in a small rural Canadian town, and just how the community supports him during that time. And then our sequel, Pass Me By Electric Vice, jumps back into his memories in 1973 of touring with a glam rock band. So that one's like a really explosive, loud, neon-tastic kind of story about his memories and him exploring queer identity and coming to terms with himself. And then our follow-up to that, our third book, is called Pass Me By Lily, and that one is about Ed's estranged granddaughter coming to live with him in the small town.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, who's doing the writing? Who's doing the art here?
We do the writing collaboratively, but Kat here is the illustrator.
Hello.
So, how did you guys meet to initially start this project?
We met back in art school, where Ryan ran a somewhat illegal residency that I became the resident of. And while I was in this studio space over on the fine arts end of school, I was working on a project which was like an early version of this called Gone Fishing. And it was like a 24-page little piece that I was working out this character, Ed. And we started to bounce dialogue back and forth. And after we graduated that summer, we started to collaborate really specifically, and we started working through a document together and built out this whole story that turned into Pass Me By Gone Fishing. And there was just such like creative chemistry there that we kept it rolling. We had ideas for books following, and 8 years later, we're still going strong.
Oh, that's incredible to start from the ground up and have a whole series like right away. And so, how many more books do you think are in this series that might still be in you?
We think we have like 2 books left, but we're gonna see. We have to do some work on it.
Yeah.
Any other projects that might happen in between, maybe?
Oof, there's a few. Yeah, because I also work as a muralist and freelance artist. I have a project with the U of C coming up called The Heart of Women's Health that I'm doing a silkscreen project for. I'm going to be painting a mural for Skipping Stone Foundation here in May, and some more mural opportunities that are up in the air but hopefully land for the rest of the summer.
That's fantastic. Now, when you guys met at art school, was this like ACAD here in Calgary, or was this somewhere else? Yeah,
ACAD, now AU Arts.
Yeah,
okay.
It was the first meeting of illustration and drawing, except I don't actually know how to draw, so it didn't work so well.
Well, I mean, I've done a little bit over there myself, and a lot of great talent has come out of Calgary through that art school, and at one point they were not really big on comic book people, and now they seem to have embraced it, which is really nice to see.
Oh, we really hope so. They really should, because that's where all the good artists is coming from. Like, I don't know, Gillian Fleck came out of that program.
That's
incredible artist.
Fiona
Staples, good friend of ours, yeah. I think Carrie Nord came out of there too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so
Nick Johnson.
Shout
out.
He's been doing some animation stuff as of late.
He's going to film festivals. It's doing amazing.
Yeah, you got to check out Sunburnt Unicorn. It's fantastic.
I only learned about it this weekend, and I'm sorry Nick's not here for me to talk to him about it, but I'll try to arrange something with him. All right, well, I appreciate you talking about your book. I encourage everybody to go to Renegade Arts. Actually, tell anybody how to find the book if they don't know.
So you can grab the book at probably most local bookstores. Hopefully have a copy of Pass Me By in. If not, you can ask for it. We're also available at the library, and you can get us through Renegade Arts Entertainment's website as well.
That's right, and you can also get them through Words and Pictures.
Yeah, good old Words and Pictures.
All right, thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, we're still going down Renegade Row, and we're talking to Shay Prue?
Rhymes with true and blue.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. I knew I was going to
silent X on the end.
And you just came back from like running around on a mission of
I did have to find some trinkets for my kids, but it was not impossible. I did it.
You did it.
I got it.
And you're all about the youngsters because you have a wonderful array of young readers books here from Renegade.
Well, I do a lot of my best work from observation. Like I like to draw when I'm out about in the world, and so sometimes I'm out with youngsters. drawing things while I'm with them. My latest book is full of autobiographical kind of drawings from my life and swimming pools and dentist offices and my garden, but all of the jokes and setups, it's all just humor. Like it's not autobiographical writing. So it's a joke book. It's humor.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. So you've got Alice at I can't read that bottom part.
Alice at Nap Time was
Nap Time.
Yeah, that was my first book with Renegade.
Yeah.
Just Happy to See You is the most recent book that was with Conundrum, just because they were putting out a series that was the right size.
Right, and ABCs of Monstrosity.
Yeah, ABC Monstrosity is a book where all of the illustrations for the letters of the alphabet combine as you go.
Oh, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
You should do like a crossover with Alex with the Department of Monstrology.
I have thought about it. Yeah.
And that would be just the weirdest little mashup ever.
It would be pretty fun.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like the kids' version of that.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. So tell everybody, specifically the parents who might be looking for books for their kids, tell them why they should buy yours. And because it is the best.
I mean, ABC Monstrosity is one that I drew while I was pregnant with my second child and had a toddler, and a lot of the things I drew were just kind of around. Even the animals, there's like an octopus in it, but I had a tiny toy octopus. There's a tortoise. I had a little toy tortoise. And then every time I drew something, I'd sort of combine it with everything I drew before. And then I hand colored it with pencil crayons while we were in ballet lessons and at swimming lessons and all these things. And I ran a comic workshop with parents and kids where people could drop in and draw. And so I finished it all off and then got it published as a coloring book, or a colored book by Renegade. But it was first published as a coloring book, and my husband makes fun of me because he says I printed 1,000 just to color in one. So now when I sell them at Expo, I give one away.
That is funny. Well, I appreciate you talking to us. How can people get their books?
They can get books from the Renegade website. They can usually find a little bit more of my self-published work as well if they go to like Shelf Life Books. They're doing a zine fair over there on the 23rd of May.
Okay.
So I'll be there signing work, and they have the Renegade stuff, and they'll have a few more special things I'm making just for that there too. Yeah.
And you could probably find some at Words and Pictures too, because Renegade keeps me fully stocked.
Awesome.
Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
I am here at Jared Hartnell's booth, and he's got this wonderful looking book here on Renegade Row called Shout, Kill, Revel. Please tell everybody about the book.
Shout, Kill, Rebel is a Lovecraftian Western set just at the peak of the Civil War. A cult has taken over the West and rules the land under a banner of fear, and they believe Helmina, the main character, to be their lost messiah, and because she has a strange connection to the great old ones.
It's a beautiful looking book, by the way. Is this your first major graphic novel?
Yeah, absolutely. It's my first book, first published work there, and I've just done little 10 pages before this kind of thing.
Right. I mean, it's a hell of a debut because it's a gorgeous book. It's got it kind of gives me like that Vertigo vibe when they were at their prime, right?
I like that.
Okay. I mean, what was the aesthetic you were going for?
I don't know. I don't think I had necessarily a plan for how it was going to be perceived, or I don't know. I think I just wanted it to be hard-hitting, emotional, not a lot of hand-holding. I wanted you to learn the characters and the story as things progress, kind of thing. And right out of the gate, I like just to hit the ground running and throw you into the mess.
I mean, this is a very robust graphic novel as well. So how long did it actually take you to finish this?
It took about 6 years to finish. I was working still full-time for the first 3/4 of that, just doing retail and doing that grind, and then I took the last couple years. I was able to, my wife took over the bills so that I could finish it and get it done and make it into something. And so I was very fortunate.
I'd say, it looks like a major labor of love. but
Just wait until I get it.
loves come and go. So what's the next project?
What's the rules? Can I even? Nobody's picked it up yet or anything like that. But I've got a few pitches that I am like super excited to do that I haven't been able to super get sendable just yet because I've been doing the repeater stamps. But I got they're all weird. Norse, new gods, strangeness, reality twisting.
Teaser as well. I mean, if anybody's publisher-wise or editorial-wise, if you haven't picked up this book, take a look at it and then hire this guy because he's just a mad genius.
I do my best. You gotta let me do basically every step, though. Well, that was like part of the thing is that I did want people to see is that since I wrote it, drew it, inked it, colored it, lettered it, and I did the graphic design, I did the book layout. I don't need to do that stuff.
That's a rarity. Like, you don't hear everybody from start to finish on every step.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I went to AU Arts for illustration, so I like learned about color and stuff like that and color theory, and it felt weird to have somebody else color it, and so I didn't want anybody else to color it. I figured I would know the best kind of colors to go, and I would learn and be able to change things as I go. Like with lettering was like really, really fun where since I did the art and I did the writing, I was able to change the grammar a little bit so the word balloon fit better and little stuff like that to like really creative things. Liberties that wouldn't be able to happen.
Yeah. They're trying to kick us out. I don't think they want me here anymore, so I'm going to cut it there, but thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All children
Well, that's it for part 2 of our coverage of the Calgary Expo 2025. Thanks for the Calgary Expo for letting us roam around and getting a bunch of interviews. And thanks to all the guests for indulging us. It was a wonderful time, and Trish and I can't wait to do it again next year. Not the only show we're going to be doing this year. We are planning to do HorrorCon this year, so cross your fingers and hopefully that goes well. We got some old friends coming back, so look for that later in the year here. And as far as the next couple weeks go, we will be back onto our regular schedule, covering movies that you've maybe never heard of, or movies that we would like to see a remake of, or comparisons. You know the drill. We're going to be back to our regularly scheduled stuff. If you like this episode or anything else we do, give us a follow on our social media, @Invasion Remake on X and Blue Sky, Invasion of the Remake on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, you name it, Instagram, as well as Invasion of the Remake @gmail.com if you want to email us your suggestions, your corrections, your comments, and of course those fan challenges. We don't do as many of them now because we're only every 2 weeks, but certainly if you got a good idea, we'll indulge you if it's something we're really going to dig. Also, do us a favor, visit our website, invasionoftheremake.wixsite.com/podcast, and over there you'll find our archives as well as a link to our merchandise store, so go check that out. We got t-shirts, mugs, posters, totes, hoodies, you name it. We got over almost 100 designs over there, so go check it out, and hopefully you'll find something nice. They're very cool, very comfortable, and all your friends will be like, where the hell did you get that? That was awesome. So go buy yourself something cool, and it helps keep this show free for you every couple of weeks. For Trish and myself, that's it. We'll catch you in 2 weeks. We are out of here.
Yeah, I have a question for David Hasselhoff.
Yes, sir.
Did you find it difficult as an actor playing opposite a car?
You know, that is a very good question. As an actor, you rely on subtle facial changes and cues from your co-stars. You don't get that with a car, but after a while, you get used to it, it becomes the norm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, excuse me, I have a question.
Exactly how many beers did you have before you got naked with that hamburger?
You know, buddy, we all make mistakes. That was a long time ago, and I'm a different guy now.
You know what? Can I just jump in here for a second? You're a real scumbag for asking that question.
What? It's a fair question.
No, you know what? Let me tell you something about this man.
Kid, it's all right. Just let it go, huh?
No, I want him to hear this. Let me tell you something. After the show ended, I got nothing but shit work, all right? I was playing snowplows, tractors. I was even cast as a lawnmower. Now, that was a real low point for me. And this man, sitting next to me at this very low point in my life, wrote me a check.
Oh, come on, pal. Come on.
No, I want everyone to hear this, because you are a good man, David Hasselhoff. You are a good man. You saved me with your generosity. You are the most... Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I promised myself I wouldn't get emotional. I just love you, buddy. I just love you so much. I love you so much. Oh, God.
I love you too, pal. I really do. I love you.
So, like, 25 beers or what?
Piece of shit, get out of here!
Whoa, man, what the fuck?
You are not fit to breathe the same air as this man!
Kid, he's not worth it.
Get out of here!
What? He's a celebrity. His personal life is our business.
Get the fuck out, you piece of dog shit! I will run you down like roadkill!
Hey, I don't have to take this shit from a fucking Pontiac.
Get out! Get the fuck out!
You're a psycho, dude. Seriously, you're a psycho. Get some therapy.
Get out!
Crazy son of a bitch.